Go.
Good evening. Today we are debating against the proposition that is promotion and relegation. Sport is extremely popular around the world with billions of people being involved. This is why organizing sport and sport leagues is a very complex and delicate issue. Throughout the world, countries have adopted their own approach to the issue based on how they see fit to their circumstances. Most federations have adopted a promotion and relegation system. However, the economic boom that has braced the sport since has created a problematic imbalance between the wealthy clubs and the rest of them.
Go.
Promotion and relegation refers to teams moving up or down a league based on their performance in a given season. This results in teams risking relegation using short-term thinking, which means they would only adopt plans and invest with only the current season in mind. Such thinking can hinder the development of young players, which are players that are under the age of 23. On the other hand, is the popular system that is the franchise system. This system was made famous in North America with a governing body of a league overseeing teams structured as a franchise. A team that is a franchise is a contractual right granted to one or more people to own and operate a team in a specific location. The franchise system creates a better competitive balance, which means more teams being in contention of the championship within a given league.
Go.
The final sub-issue is young player development, as teams make survival their goal, will sacrifice long-term benefits of developing young players in exchange for older experienced players that can provide results now.
Go.
We're arguing in support of the promotion and relegation system. The promotion and relegation system has been around for centuries and it has worked in professional sports for a long time. It has been part of professional sport for hundreds of years, not hundreds of years, but about 100 years. And especially in the European Football League, it has created fierce competition. It creates a higher level of football and it creates competition between clubs because it forces clubs to perform good from the beginning of the season, meaning that if clubs perform bad, they're actually already going down in the bottom of the league, which is giving them a hard time for the rest of the performance throughout the league. Meaning the clubs will have to be playing good throughout the league, creating a greater competition. When teams are standing at the bottom of the league at the end of the season, they will have the pressure to perform. If they don't perform, they will be relegated and their pride will suffer because they're going to be playing in a league not according to their status. That means fans are going to suffer, the team is going to suffer economically, and players are going to leave. That means the team is not going to be like it was ever before. A perfect example is Sunderland in the season of 2013-2014. They were in the bottom of the league and they were about 7 points down in the relegation, which means they were already doomed to go into the second league division. In the last 5 games, they took 13 points and they even drew and won against teams like Manchester City and Manchester United, which became known as the Great Escape. And these things are what make football, and these things are what shape football history and football culture all over Europe.
Yeah.
Our opposition has stated that it's a more fair playing field in the franchise system, although we do not believe this, as they protect the lower teams that aren't playing to their best ability and are underperforming. They keep them in the league by not relegating them, which doesn't really show a competitive aspect to the fans, and it loses the fan engagement.
Yeah.
Due to an increase in competition because of the promotion and relegation system, this also increases TV viewership because of also the number of matches that play per seasons are increased. In 2017, actually, the Major League Soccer turned down a 4 billion media rights offer that was contingent upon accepting a relegation and promotion system like the rest of the planet, but they turned it down, which means they turned down $4 billion of extra revenue a year, which doesn't make any sense at all.
Go.
In comparison to the franchise system, the introduction of a promotion and relegation system into the Major League Soccer in America would not only help to attract players nationwide, but would also attract more international players because of a massive increase of budget. It would not only attract new players, it would also attract TV viewers nationwide and worldwide, as the competition in the league would increase, and that would be more attractive to all viewers around the world.
Our opposition stated that promotion relegation does not support youth development, but we strongly disagree with this point, as we believe that the promotion relegation really supports the youth development, as that's where the academies are most relevant, and that these leagues really have academies existing in their academies.
Go.
Because of the greater competition and because of the financial benefits, also creating greater engagement of the fans all around the world in sports. This is why we support the promotion relegation system.
Go.
So the opposing team suggested that promotion relegation system promotes youth development, but we believe that's not the case. The promotion relegation system hinders youth development, as the stakes are a lot higher, with clubs being too skeptical to allow young players to play and showcase their ability. This shadows the overall development of the club and on an international level as well. This also discourages young players to stay loyal to clubs, because if they have world-class players coming into their squad, youth players will then leave in search of better opportunities. A prime example of this is Chelsea Football Club, who have had 37 players on loan last year. This causes young players to move clubs in hope of better opportunities, therefore stunting the club's youth. The promotion and relegation system also doesn't benefit teams in the long run, as when a small team gets promoted through hard work and commitment, and then gets to a stage where they cannot develop with the funds and small established sponsoring they already have, as there are much bigger, wealthier clubs who have a much bigger net worth and who can afford to buy top-class players from overseas. Whereas this small club who worked their way up are suddenly stopped in their tracks as they don't have enough money to contract international players or renovate stadiums. When abolishing a promotion relegation system and introducing a franchise system, teams turn out to be on a more level financial playing field, with revenue being more equally spread out between all the teams. This results in a better competitive balance, which is way more entertaining for fans, and ensures that more teams have a better chance at competing and battling for the title. This can be supported by looking at US-based franchises winners in the past decade compared to European football leagues that have a promotion relegation system in place. For example, the NFL franchise has had 9 different winners in the past decade, whereas in La Liga there have only been 3 different winners, with Atletico de Madrid only winning once. The Premier League and the Eredivisie have only had 4 different winners, with Ajax and PSV sharing most of the titles between them. Furthermore, the NHL and MLB have had 7 and 8 different winners in the past decade. A report by respected journalist Arthur Weinstein showed that NFL teams shared $7.8 billion between them in the 2016-17 season, with each team receiving $244 million. Meanwhile, Premier League champions Manchester City received over 148 million pounds, while relegated West Brom Albion got over 94 million. This just shows the massive inequality that the promotion relegation system promotes, and how a franchise can be just as competitive or even more competitive than a promotion relegation system.
Go.
The opposition has stated that moving away from the promotion and relegation system and onto the franchise system provides a more competitive, fair, and more balanced financial playing field. Shared winnings are spread throughout the league as revenue is collected and shared between all competing teams. Although we disagree with this, because balance is achieved without fair play through tanking, as teams lose on purpose to gain the first pick of the draft and gain advantage over their competitors. Losing on purpose is not true sportsmanship and goes against the ethics of sport. The NBA fined outspoken Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban $600,000 on Wednesday for comments about tanking during a podcast with the Hall of Fame Julius Erving. Cuban said during the 30-minute interview that he met recently with some of his players and told them that we aren't competing for the playoffs, so losing is our best option. In addition, there's more fair play in promotion and relegation competitions, as everyone has a chance to compete and make it into the league. Whereas the franchise systems, competitions like the NFL and the NBA are more cartel-orientated and are a closed group, with more exclusivity and harder to get into. It doesn't allow for lower clubs to grow and develop as a franchise.
The opposition has claimed that in a league that does not include promotion and relegation, the play is more fair. We are against that argument because in a competition that has no relegation system, tanking is a major problem, like in the US. Tanking forces teams to lose on purpose in order to benefit themselves into getting a better position in the league. So,
Go.
in addition, the franchise system creates a cartel-like playing field that only benefits the investors and the owners of the clubs, but doesn't benefit the players or the sport at all.
Colleagues stated that the promotion and relegation system isn't as competitive as the franchise system, whereas I strongly disagree. As in the promotion relegation system, the teams fight not to get relegated, so that's more competitive, whereas the franchise system, they tank and lose on purpose just to get the first pick. How would you respond, and how could you explain how this is still competitive?
I think in this case, yes, your point of view is correct, but not all teams tank in this franchise system. And not miracles aren't made by one team tanking and then them getting the first pick in the draft. There's very rare cases of a team ending up at the bottom of the league, getting the first pick in the draft, and then winning the league, winning their respective league the next year. Teams still have to bring in these players. The management system still has to be strong and in a good place for these players to mend themselves within the team, to create a good team environment which will allow their best chance to win the league. Team players can't just come in and win a league single-handedly. So I think, yes, what you're saying is correct, but it's very, very hard for a team to tank and then go and win a league the next 2 years.
Your colleague stated that they used Chelsea as an example to shut down our argument about youth development in the promotion and relegation system. But I think that's very specific, and it's very specific as a team that's got such a lot of money behind them. Well, how would you react if I said a team something like Southampton, who really depend on their youth development and their youth academies?
Well, I still back the point that my colleague said about Chelsea and their youth development, but I think the case with these less wealthier clubs is that they rely heavily on their youth development as their source of income. They work hard to develop these players, to sell them to bigger clubs and get money, so then they can use that again in just progressing the youth system in their club. Whereas because they can't compete with Chelsea, who have so much money and can buy these experienced players to step in and help them win trophies, they're at the stage where they're not that wealthy and they need the money. So that's why I think they focus so heavily on their youth development and youth systems.